All right, hello math fans. Okay, so today what we're going to do is something called dealing with formulas and functions. And basically what we've been doing so far is we've been solving for x. Okay, it's always been x, right? And you're like, well, when are we ever going to use this? Well, I'm going to kind of show you some application here of if you're given something other than just x, how do you solve for a variable? Okay, and the reason it's kind of important to understand that is because when you're inputting values in, like if I give you, something like area equals length times width. Okay, that's a formula. That's the area of a rectangle. And if I give you guys, if you have that formula, and let's say I give you the length and I give you the width, well, don't you just multiply those together? But the deal is, what happens if I give you a length and the area? So I know the area that I want, and I know that the length is, actually, let's do it in terms of carpeting. I say I need this much area, and I know the width has to be a certain width, right? It has to be 5 feet, because that's what the way the carpeting comes from Home Depot. All right, and then you've got to figure out the length. So what you need to do is you need to be able to solve for L, so you can just kind of plug it in. And you're like, well, why are we going to plug it in? Well, especially like in computer science, if anybody's interested in going into computer science, when you put a program, create a program, and you have some variables, what you're going to have to do is in the program, you're going to actually have to solve for a variable, and then the computer program then it'll let you input different things in, and then it'll solve given those values. But you actually have to solve for a formula. So let's just do this first example here. Again, this is the area of a rectangle, and if I said solve for L, okay, and it's really easy. What you really need to do, math fans, is you need to remember all our rules. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to distribute. So the first thing is distribute. The second is combine like terms. The third thing is you're going to add and subtract. Of course, that's to get the variable on one side. And then the last step is you're going to multiply or divide. Okay? So kind of keep that in mind. Well, look at this problem. What do I have? I have, back in the day, you just had numbers and letters. Well, for a lot of these problems, I'm just going to have all letters. But you treat it all the same. So if I'm solving for L, okay, this is the first step I want you guys to do. As I told you before, when you're solving, you want to put the variable on the left-hand side. It just makes more sense. So I'm going to rewrite this as L times W equals A. And then, right, it's multiplication. Don't you, in order to solve for L, don't you do the opposite? Don't you divide? Well, I've got to get rid of that W, so I'm going to divide by W. So that cancels, and I get L equals A over W. And that's it. That's your answer for that problem. Okay? It's actually pretty easy to do, but you have to remember all your rules, and it's like you're treating all the other letters that you're not solving for like numbers, like we've done before. All right, so let's just try another one here. Perimeter of a rectangle is twice the width plus twice the length. Okay, so let's say I want to solve for W. Well, remember what I told you guys to do. First step, move. So I'm going to even write this on here. First, F-I-R-S-T. There we go. First step, okay, is move variable to be solved to the left side. And that's not even doing any math. So you're just gonna exchange the positions. So instead of P equals 2W plus 2L, you're gonna say 2W plus 2L equals P. Okay? It's really easy. And remember, you're gonna treat everything else kind of like it's a number. So what I'm gonna do is I'm solving for W. Well, let's go back even a different problem. What if I had 2W plus 4 is equal to 12? That's really the same thing as that. Okay, I have addition, and I have it equal to something, and I also have multiplication here. So what do you do with this? Don't you subtract 4 from both sides? So you got 2w equals 8. Well, okay, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to subtract 2l. We get 2w equals p minus 2l. Now you can't combine the p and the 2l. Kind of like here, that 12 and the 4, I was able to combine it. 12 minus 4 is 8. But you can't combine letters that are not the same. Okay? And so my last step is divide, and this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to divide each of these by 2. Okay, I don't want you to draw I don't want you to go like this and draw a big old line here. Okay, that's bad. You've got to split it up, and you put a 2 underneath each one. So that cancels, and we get w equals p over 2 minus, well, the 2's cancel, so it's minus l. And that your answer to that problem. Okay, that's not that bad, right? And then, I could, just back to this problem here, what if I said p is equal to 10 and l equals 3? And say, well, okay, what's the width? Well, if you are given the problem this way, p is equal to 2w plus 2l, that would be difficult, right, to solve for w. But here, I have it solved now, so I'm just going to type it in. W equals 10 over 2, that's what p is, minus 3. So 5 minus 3 is 2. That's the answer to that problem. Okay, it's not too bad. All right, so let's try a couple more here. What is the area of a triangle? Anybody know? Well, not that you could really tell me, but that I could hear you. So area is equal to 1/2 base times height. Okay, so I'm going to solve for the base. I want to input the height and the area. All right, so first step, 1/2 base times height equals a. Now I know it's a little weird. I guess you could do that. I want to solve for b, so don't you divide? You kind of have a 1/2 and you have an h there. I'm going to kind of show this in 2 steps, because don't you divide both sides by h? Doesn't the h's cancel? So you get 1/2 b equals a over h. All right, so how do you get rid of the 1/2? Well, you don't divide by 1/2. Remember, that's like back in the day, you never divide by a fraction. But what do? Multiply by its reciprocal. Okay, so it's 2 over 1 and 2 over 1. So b is equal to, I can put these together, 2a over h. There we go. That's it, math fans. That's your answer. Okay? And then again, if I said area is equal to, 20, and the height is equal to 5, we're just going to kind of put this together. So it's b is equal to 2 times 20 divided by 5, which is 40 over 5, which is 8. Of course, there are no units in this one, so we're okay. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's do a couple more examples here. Okay, circumference of a circle. I don't know if you guys remember that. Circumference of a circle equals 2 pi r. All right, and I want to solve for r. So I'll always tell you what I want to solve for. Solve for r. So it's 2 pi r equals c. And, well, it's all multiplication here, right? There's no addition, so I'm just going to divide by 2 pi. So r equals c over 2 pi. It's pretty easy, right? Not bad at all. Let's see, what else can we do here? We'll do one more. I'm just going to make this up. All right, 2xyz minus 4ab equals c. Okay, and I want to solve for x. Okay, it looks complicated, right? It's got x, y, z, a, b, c. Isn't that A, B, C, easy as X, Y, Z? No, 1, 2, 3. Oh, well. Anyway, I solve for X. Well, first of all, this is on the correct side, so I'm good to go. Well, remember, it's like saying, I'm going to simplify it. Like 2x plus 3 equals 11. Okay, what do you do first? Well, don't you deal with that first? You're going to add 4ab to both sides. And we get 2xyz equals c plus 4ab. And then this is all multiplication. So after I would, get 2x equals 8, I would divide by 2. So I'm going to get rid of, I'm solving for x. So everything else is out of there. 2yz, and I'm going to do each one of these separately. Remember I told you that. Each one separately. So that can't, the 2's cancel, the y's cancel, the z's cancel. So x equals c over 2yz plus, well, that's a 2 and a 1. So a b over y z. And that's your answer. It looked kind of complicated, but that's your answer. That's really not that bad. All right? That's it, math fans. That's solving, formulas and functions and solving for a variable that I am going to ask you. I'm going to be very specific and say solve for this variable. Remember, first step, move it to the correct side. And then after that, it's just like solving. You do your division or distributing, then you do your adding and subtracting, combining like terms, adding, subtracting, and then the last step is multiplication, division. All right? That's it, math fans. You have a great day. Goodbye.